All right, we're gonna prune this Arbequina olive a little bit. Certainly no expert at it, but I'm going to try to cut some of the stuff out of the middle that's kind of grown to the middle. And I'm going to save these to try to root them in, that'll open up a central portion right there. This right here is another branch altogether. Let's get this right here. All right. Now that's all I really need right there for what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to cut the very tips off and the real soft wood right here and get down to the semi-hardwood part. And I'm going to put this stuff in this little cooler that I've got here. Got just a few ice cubes in there. I think that'll help it. All these little branches I don't think we'll keep. Cut off the softer wood. I think we want a little bit stronger, a little bit stiffer wood right here. And I don't know if it's necessary to put it in a cooler with ice cubes in it or not. I don't have many ice cubes in there, but it is 100 degrees today, right as we stand here. And we got some right here that go in there. And we're going to go back to the house and pot these up and try to root these Arbequina olive trees in the beginning of the summer, which would have been just 3 or 4 days ago on June 21st. And we'll see if that's a good time. All right, we're headed back to the house. We're watering this orange tree. I did a video, the last video, and I couldn't name the variety, but I have since found out. This is called Brown's Select Satsuma Orange. And this is the best one of the Satsumas that I bought. Brown's, BROWN''S Select Satsuma. But I put the dripper hose on here pretty heavy, and it's built up a pond around this tree. And the ducks are over here digging their beaks down into the ground. I don't suppose they will damage this tree, but look at them go to work. I've got a theory on why they do that. If I'm not mistaken, you know, have you ever heard of grunting for worms, where you do some kind of a vibration of the ground? There's different tools that vibrate the ground. You drive a stake in and the worms come up. I'm wondering if, and I saw one of these ducks over there in the little duck watering hole, shaking his beak down into the ground. And I believe, I was almost certain that he pulled out a big fat worm. So I'm wondering if this beak shaking might be the vibration that causes the worms, look at that one there, to come up. It's definitely a vibrating motion. I can almost feel it from here. They're really going for it. If anybody out there knows the answer to that, let's see if we can't see if that might be the reason they're doing that. But they certainly, anytime the ground is wet and they can get their beaks down into the dirt, they do that vibrating motion. I'm going to move this hose a little bit to this side. And we'll get back to you. Go into the house now to do the I'm hoping that this will not damage the roots of this tree. Shoot, it might make it better. You know, they're penetrating the ground, you know. And maybe it'll make the water soak in better. I don't know. But if the tree dies in the next few days, don't water your orange tree around a bunch of ducks. Okay. These little clippers are very dull and nicked up. And I felt like I needed to do something about it. I've never used this tool, but this is a diamond honing rod. And you sharpen this side. This is beveled and the back side is flat. But I'm seeing if I can get... This is quite nicked up here. So I'll get back to you in just a minute when I finish this. Alright, I spent 6 minutes. I'd say about 4, because I stopped stropping that blade, and I don't know if you can see it there, but it's way shinier now. And that diamond tool, now the tip's hard to get, but the tip don't do the cutting anyway. It's back in here that does it's the jaws that do the cutting. So here we are. Let's see, did I manage to get this thing any sharper? It was leaving a little piece. Oh yeah. Okay, that was not hard to do. So now I'm ready to go. Okay, what we're going to do, I've got this in here with this ice where it wouldn't get real hot. We're going to make up our potting soil, and it is going to be perlite. Don't breathe that. They say don't breathe this perlite, and it did raise dust when I poured it in there. It's about half perlite and half sphagnum moss. But I will tell you this. My grandmother used to root fig trees in her yard in the dirt. No peat moss, no nothing. And I've seen quite a few videos on YouTube from overseas, somewhere in Asia, and those people are rooting it, doing their rooting in just pure dirt. It looks like yard dirt. And they seem to be doing just fine. So you don't have to buy stuff if you don't want to spend money on rooting things. These products are not necessary. They make it a little more convenient, especially for commercial growers, because they probably hold moisture a little better and they may root a little better. Now what I'm doing here, this pot here is what I'm going to use. This stuff is dry. I'm going to put it in this bowl and I'm going to wet it and get it just the right amount of wetness, because it's hard to wet this stuff. See, it's dry now. It's hard to wet it once it's in a pot. So basically I'm just going to put water in it and mix it up. I don't want to overdo it. and still I'm getting very little water out of it. And I think that's probably pretty good. And because I'm rooting this in a pot with a hole in the bottom, I don't have to worry about water staying in there and rotting the cutting. And that's why I like to use a pot that has drainage. You can do it either way. There's all kind of ways to root stuff. Basically, God has designed plants so that if they blow down in a storm and they fall on the ground, they just liable to take root and grow. That's the way He designed it. Now, most of the people that I see making these videos say don't pack the soil down. Compaction is an enemy of plants. So I knew how much I needed, so I just got that very amount and I wet it, and any excess will drain out, and there's not much excess. Any excess will drain out of the hole in the bottom. Now, one of the reasons we're talking about this, the date, the exact date, the temperature, and how we're doing this is so that if you're living in the same zone, I'm living in the edge of 8B, 9A. That's where I'm at. Alright, I like to prepare my cuttings by cutting a 45 on the bottom. Well, one thing that does is it shows you where the bottom is when you're preparing them, if it's not evident. But this is evident because you can see that the branches go up and you can see that it's smaller at one end. But sometimes you lose track of it. See that one right there? The leaves show you that this is the bottom. So we're going to take that off. I might actually leave just a few leaves on this one, but very little. Maybe something like that, that, and that. Oh, by the way, these things are a lot sharper now. Let's do one of these smaller ones here. These are smaller guys here. Come on now. Measure it with the pot. 45 cut. Here's another even smaller one. Oh boy, I just about rooted my finger there. Come on, turn loose of there. I said that you don't use the tip to cut with, but I've been proven wrong, because you definitely do need to use the tip of this tool. I take most of the leaves off. And you've also got to, You don't have to. Let me tell you. Nature is designed, or God designed these things to survive. So in a storm situation where trees blow down but are still hanging on to the mother plant, they will take root just falling to the ground. Now, they say to scrape. This one doesn't have a 45. They say to scrape a little bit down here. Something like this. This is a serrated knife. So we'll do that, and that kind of simulates, I guess, a wound, as if the tree had fallen in a storm. That's going to be a pretty big one right there. One. All right, we'll get back to you in just a minute. All right, this is a product called Parafilm M. It is used, it's a laboratory film, but it's also used in horticulture. And the purpose of it is to, you cut it as you need it. This is a paper backing. And what it does is it puts a, come on, separate. What it does is it puts a film that protects the rooting from drying out. It's hard to get it separated from the paper sometimes. Well, I'll get it here in a minute now. The parafilm stretches and the paper doesn't. So theoretically you can, there we go, I got it loose there. Alright, what this does, this is good to wrap grafted pieces with, but theoretically it stops it from drying out. Now this stuff stretches. You can, now there's also another one called buddy tape that's close to this, but buddy tape is more stretchable, and it is also a heck of a lot more expensive. See how that stretches and you just go down? You don't want to go down, you don't want to go below. This part is going to be exposed above. See there, so that's theoretically, the old way of doing it, they took wax and put on them in the old days. Now this is your rooting hormone. Who knows if that's going to make it root better? Almost every video I've watched admitted that this rooting hormone is not necessary. But under controlled conditions, it did make a higher percentage of the plant's root. So it's a chemical that makes it root better, but it is not apparently necessary. But I want to get some of this stuff on here. Get this everywhere, at Walmart, at Lowe's, and all that kind of stuff. And you really need to dibble a hole, is what they say, although I've seen guys that don't dibble. I'll use this to dibble, and that's to make a hole so that you won't get all the powder off of it. Now I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom, or I am, but I'm going to pull it up a little bit because I don't want it all the way to the bottom. I've got the parafilm. Okay, now I'm going to do half of these with the Parafilm M and half of them without. And we'll do a little experiment. I needed to go a little bit lower there, so I got a little piece left. And we're going to find out if the ones that have the parafilm coating will root more successfully than the others. It dries out there a lot. Okay, get back to you. All right, I have wrapped about half of them in parafilm. I've left a few leaves on some of them. And I have definitely put rooting hormone on all of them, because I've heard that it's not necessary, but I don't think I've ever heard that it hurts anything. And that is cheap. Bought it at Lowe's. And that's what it looks like now. And we are going to put a tag in it, a marker, as to what it is and when we did it. Okay, that is the end of our presentation, and I hope to... I do want to show you something I did the other day that is coming along. Go over here, Debbie. Okay, this is the dwarf ever-bearing mulberry. And you can see that new growth has come out right there. And the leaf on this one has not fallen off. And all I did was stick it in this pot. I might have put rooting hormone. And this is another one that I did. I guess I did it later. And this is another mulberry that I did from an unknown variety that we got here in town. And we will see, that was done on 6/17. So that was about, this is the 25th, so that was 8 days ago. 3 and 5 is 8. That was 8 days ago. And these pots drain, so I can put a little water in them every now and then. Apparently, the enemy of rootings is to get into wet situations where they can't drain. So if you're putting them in a tote or with a little mini greenhouse over it, you have to have the moisture just right. But if you have a drain, you see I watered that one a little bit a while ago, and the water ran through it, and it's not excessive. This one here, same thing, is completely dried up now. I put about a half a cup in each one of them. Okay, we'll keep you updated on that. And we're stumbling around here all over stuff here in the kitchen. All right, thank you for watching. And happy rooting.